Well, our business really relies heavily on a pristine environment. Scotch whisky is essentially Scotland's environment distilled into a bottle. We rely on 3 key raw ingredients in Scotch: good and high quality barley supplies, abundant and pristine water, and a good quality supply of yeast. All of those things can be sourced locally in Scotland, and we rely on a good quality environment and a strong supply chain to supply all of those things to make Scotch whisky.
Scotland's landscapes at nature are so important to our business because it's a very important part of our brand. Our farm logo is our farm sign against part of the farm landscape.
I count it as a great privilege being the caretaker of a farm, and that's all I am, is a caretaker for a very limited period of time. And a piece of land which I consider to be one of the most fertile in the country and possibly the world.
We're very fortunate that Scotch whisky distilleries have been operational in Scotland for decades and centuries even in some cases. And that's important because it shows that companies that have been operational for such a long time have really put in environmental stewardship over the years and have really taken care of their own local environment long before it was fashionable to be green.
We believe really strongly that you don't just share what you've got right now with people in terms of how you manage the land. We've got a responsibility to our children and their children, etc., etc. But we're actually sharing it with our descendants by the way we look after it now. And looking after wildlife is absolutely central to that sort of moral responsibility.
I think for a bright future for Scotland, we really all need to work together to make sure that vibrant companies can exist in rural communities in Scotland, supporting the economy, and that companies in the Scotch whisky industry can continue to make a profit whilst at the same time conserving the environment. That, for me, will give a brighter future for Scotland.
A thriving farming industry is absolutely central to a thriving Scotland because there are also other issues of food production and tourism which are dependent on a well-managed landscape.
A bright future for Scotland's countryside must be developing sustainability. And by sustainability I mean by developing fertility within the boundaries of the farm and becoming an exporter of food outward.
The best way for us to work together to ensure that Scotland's natural environment is well maintained is by actually sourcing Scottish produce and making sure that where that Scottish produce comes from, it's actually sourced in an environmentally responsible way. So that's what we can all do. Every mouthful we take has an environmental impact in a host of ways. But actually, if we source Scottish and responsible Scottish, then that's the best thing that we can do as a nation for our countryside.